Hey there everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. In today's video, we are going to plan the second story of the Greybird Towns collection. If you watched the first videos on my channel, I spent them planning the first story and then the cover image for the book, if we can call it that. So basically it's a bunch of independent stories, independent stories between them that take place in the same town, fictional town. So this is the second story in the collection, and as you can see here, it's from the same account actually that provided the first prompt, because the first story was based on a prompt from a challenge on Wattpad, I suppose. It was February Fright. Today I'm going to do the October short story challenge. And believe it or not, I know that as you're watching this video, I don't know when you're watching this video, but it's not going to be posted on October, but it is being recorded on October. So the first story had a main character, and the POV was first person. This time I want to make it different based on this. Okay, so let's see what they gave us. Welcome to October, what matters, whatever. Okay, in honor of this most fearful month, we want to take your stories. Okay. I'm not gonna go through all of that. What do I write about? We're challenging writers to write their very own short, scary stories. Pretend we're all sitting around a spooky campfire and do your worst. Things to consider, pay attention to your grammar, okay? Try to convey feeling. We're gonna do our best, I guess. We're not experts. I am not an expert. I don't know about you. You might be. Keep your content appropriate. Make sure your work is original. I guess original. I mean, is there such thing as original nowadays? I mean, you can imagine something and chances are somebody else has imagined the same thing somewhere else. Of course, it's not very likely to happen, but you'd be surprised. Okay, so I'm not participating, I'm just writing my own. So I want to take this this part. Pretend we're all sitting around a spooky campfire and do your worst. So, as I said, the first story had a main character. However, what I want to do here is a bit different. There will be a main character, however, instead of doing actions, instead of impacting the story with their actions, they're going to impact it with their words only. What do I mean by that? Is that they're going to tell the story of somebody or a group of people or something, some phenomenon. They're going to tell about something that happened to other people instead of it happening to them. And maybe at the end I will add some sort of twist, but I don't know. I don't want all the stories to end with a twist. So we're literally gonna take that, pretending we're sitting around this spooky campfire. Doesn't have to be like October. Okay, so we're back at our Google Docs file where I put the story 1, their main. Now we put story 2. And we put a title. Okay, this way it will appear here. All right. Okay, so the POV, I want to make it third person. Place, Graybird Town, of course. Graybird. Oh, okay, town. Real main character. A campfire. Main character. Our main character is going to be mostly a narrator. Is going to narrate the tale of our whatever. Main focus. A legend. Should it? I don't know. We'll say legends. Tale known amongst the inhabitants of the town. Like a folk tale or something. So I already have an idea about legends. The focus of the tale is Jack at the corner. Jack at the corner. Yeah, what about this one? Okay. Jack at the corner. So I believe this is going to be the title of our short story. The beginning. Our first part. God. Beginning. So we're gonna have our set of characters literally sitting around a campfire as the prompt states. I mean, if we can even call it a prompt. Okay. What would be the occasion for them to gather around a campfire? I imagine Graybird Town to be like a calm town where people mostly keep to themselves due to the nature, the lifestyle people are kind of forced to lead because of the atmosphere of the town, its past, and everything going on in it. So I'd like to assume that there should be a valid, if I can say that, a valid reason to celebrate. Not sure celebration is the right word, but basically an excuse to gather around a fire, whatever. So our set of characters literally sitting around a campfire. Our narrator begins to tell the story Oh my god. Begins. Our narrator begins to tell the story of Jack in the corner. I mean, Jack at the corner. I'm not sure if I'm gonna change that, but we'll see. The story of Jack at the corner. What he is, what he does, and where he comes from. I'm calling it a he, but I mean, it's not really human. I want to make it like a fantastic creature, paranormal creature. I can say that. So the narrator talks about what he is, what he does, where he comes from, but he doesn't really give us and the listeners any answers. It's a tale, so nobody really knows where this creature comes from, how it came to be. So we're gonna write that. So it should be the middle. This story would be short, quite short, shorter than the last one. Nobody knows how the creature came to be, but it's there. The narrator brings up the dangers of encountering Jack. What I mean by that is, for people, if people in town come to see Jack, if Jack manifests to somebody, that should mean, or that usually means something. He does so for a reason. Not everyone in Greybird Town can see Jack. So, because not everyone in Greybird Town can see it, or him. I'm gonna call it a him. Can see him. Therefore, if somebody does, it usually means that person is special in a way, in a specific way. Not the type of special you want to be, or anybody wants to be, really. So the narrator brings up the dangers of encountering Jack, because not everyone in Greybird Town can see him. So and then, okay, so the dangers. After the dangers, usually comes death, I suppose. So this narrator talks about the survivors of Jack. Survivors of the encounter. Okay, so I'll make the narrator a he. It doesn't really matter. He lets the listeners know that not many have survived. In fact, only 3 people have lived to tell the tale. Oh, what's this? Oh. To tell the tale. The first one was a blind man. And that, of course, is relevant condition of his eyesight is relevant to the reason he survived. Okay. The second was an old witch, an old woman told to be a witch. I do want to make the concept of witchcraft relevant in this set of stories. In a way, it should be clear that witchcraft would be intertwined with all of this. Where there is paranormal activity, people usually bring witchcraft up at some point. Not always, of course, but the common picks are religion, witchcraft. I believe some religions practice witchcraft. I'm not really an expert at that, but I think some religions practice witchcraft as part of their belief system, I think. And of course, I don't need to say her being a witch is relevant to her survival. It's linked. I want to leave the story ambiguous enough for people to make their own assumptions as they read it. So the narrator talks about the survivors, but before that, when I want to do, okay, so we're in the middle, so nobody knows how the creature came to be, but it's there. The narrator brings up the dangers of encountering Jack. So not, as I said, not everyone can see Jack, and if he manifests, it usually means that somebody is special in a way. So either they did something, an action that would call upon him, or simply call for his attention or catch his attention. Nobody really knows what are or what is the list of actions that have that effect or result, meaning bringing, summoning Jack forth. But people came to make their assumptions and deductions on the matter based on the tales and testimonies of those before them. Either they lived or not, people talk about him. Those who saw or encountered him talked about him. What they see, how he appears to them, what changes through time, what actions cause the change from the first time he appears to them. And so the ground rules were set. Example, how to recognize him. How to recognize it. It's Jack that you're really seeing. What makes somebody say that they can see Jack? What he usually does, conditions, such as what not to do when you see him. How the change happens. How does he become? What does he do? Like, how does somebody mark a change or recognize a change from the first time they see him, and what he does to make them further recognize that it's him, if they had any doubts before. So I have an idea for this part, talking about the survivor. So I want to leave it for the ending part. Talking about the survivors would be at the last section, because I want to put something at the very end. Not like a twist, not really a major twist, but just something to close the curtains with. So here, the second was an old woman. So the first one was a blind man. First survivor was a blind man. And the fact that he was blind had something to do with his survival, had something to do with his blindness. The second one is a woman told to be a witch, and her being a witch, her survival has to do with her being a witch. However, the third survivor, nobody knows who he is to that day. Those who talked to them died before they could give any information about them. To that day, again, nobody knows how or why that person managed to survive or keep and keep Jack at bay. I mean, guys, died. Ryan died. Okay, died. I mean, I think you can kind of tell where I'm going with this part. With the third survivor, nobody knows what they did to survive. Nobody really knows who they are. I mean, can you maybe think? Can you guess what I am hinting at? We'll talk more about this by the end of the video. So, for the middle, again, nobody knows for sure who this Jack is. From the title, Jack at the Corner, you can kind of imagine what Jack does. I hope. And I don't want to give too much. I mean, we're planning the story, yeah, sure, but I do hope that you will still bother to go read the story where it's published. I don't want to spoil everything here. This is just like a general idea, overview, plan to follow, but I don't want to give everything. Unlike the first story, this one is a bit more, I don't know how to describe it. Here, at the beginning, our set of characters is sitting around a campfire. I want to give an excuse for them to sit around a fire and talk about Jack or whatever story they have. But maybe one of them will have an ulterior motive. The timing. A full moon. It has to be a full moon. I guess that's what I want. Okay, so here, when to know that you're done. When to know that you're done. Again, so like we see Jack because of an action. Nobody really knows what it is. But he's gonna get your soul no matter what. So as I said, from the moment you see him, from the moment somebody sees him, to a certain moment, we perform an action, and then there is a change or development in the state. From there is another development, because as I said, all of those who have encountered Jack or seen him are dead, except for those 3 people that I cited at the end. But there needs to be a moment where people realize, by which people realize that it's the end. However, since everyone died, no, actually, there's still the old woman. She's the one that added this, basically. When to know that you're done. He's coming for you, that you're dead, basically. That he already has your soul. It's over. Too late to, I don't know, do anything. Good enough. Should we add anything? Should I add a word count? Either, so maybe, okay. Okay. Okay, so in between, maybe. Okay, so I should set this on a new page in order to start writing. Jack at the corner. So, title, and here's our page, because like we have here they remain the story where I wrote it. Okay, let's get back to the ending. So as I said here, with this third survivor, I'm debating either to give it away here or let you read the story, because I want to tie up the story of this third survivor to our friends here listening to the story of Jack. Anyways, okay, fine. Let's go over everything. So POV, third person, place of course, Greyburg Town, the setting a campfire. Our main character is our narrator, who is telling the story to the other set of characters. The main focus is a legend, I don't know, folk tale, whatever, tale named Jack. Jack at the corner. The timing, a full moon. It has to be a full moon. I want to tie that up to the third survivor. And then the word count doesn't matter for this. At the beginning, so our set of characters introduce the scene. They're sitting together, telling stories under the light of the full moon and fire, of course. And then our narrator begins to tell the story of Jack at the corner, because people around the fire, other characters nudge him too. So he talks about what Jack is, he does, where he comes from, but he doesn't really give any detailed answers. He only gives vague, ambiguous answers, like nobody knows where the creature comes from. Okay, we go to the middle where he talks about how nobody, again, we carry on, we segue from here to here, this section, talking about nobody really knows what the hell this creature is, but the narrator talks about the dangers of encountering Jack. However, if you see Jack, know that you did something specific. You're special, but not the type of special that your mother tells you are. Basically, not what the special you want. From there, so basically, either we did an action to call upon him or something to catch his attention or its attention, Jack or creature. So nobody really knows of the list of these actions, because there isn't only one action that calls upon him, or there isn't only one action that attracts his attention or calls upon him. So people came to make their assumptions and deductions based on the words of the survivors, which are not that many. Something remains kind of constant throughout the interactions of the survivors. Even though they caught his attention with different actions, his behavior remains the same with all of them, as a certain specific exception though, with like their nature, if I can say that, nature, or what happened to them. So how, for example, how to recognize the rule, or how to recognize that you can see him, how he behaves, what he just does when you see him, what not to do when you see him, how to avoid calling more of his attention, catching more of his attention, because the more attention you catch, the more his behavior changes in a certain way, and then how the change happens. What is the behavior he exhibits when he changes, after somebody goes to the next step with him, the next step to the relationship, after they see him the first time. And then there's of course a final step when you know that your soul is lost, and this one comes only from the soul survivor. And how did the soul, not the soul survivor, but the only one that survived with like specific conditions. I also want to tie this up to the end that I want to make. So at the ending, so the narrator talks about the survivors, where we got the rules from, where we got this last one from. So he lets us know that there are 3 people that known to have survived him. One was a blind man, and his survival was basically luck, sheer luck, if you can call it that, if you can call going blind sheer luck. I mean, when you get to a point where you call blindness sheer luck, it's insane. So his blindness was caused by an accident, and therefore he could no longer see Jack. No longer seeing Jack meant no longer being under the influence of, or under his mercy, I guess, in his clutches. I should probably note that. Now, we move on to the old woman. The old woman was thought to be a witch, a woman that practices witchcraft, and she survived thanks to that. She basically went through all the steps, all the stages. She saw Jack, she recognized him, they moved to the next step, and then she got to the last step. There's something from her practice. She moved through all of the steps after seeing Jack for the first time. Something in her practice saved her. The third survivor, however, nobody knows who he is, or who she is, or whatever. Who gives a damn? Whatever. She, he, whatever. To that day, those who talked to them died before they could give any information about them. To that day, nobody knows or why that person managed to survive, which means that person kept a low profile, which could be one of the conditions of the survival. However, there's more to it. Keeping a low profile surely isn't enough. Pretty sure many people that have seen Jack and died have kept the secret. They have kept the insanity to themselves. What they thought they were seeing, what they thought was probably an illusion or hallucination. But for this person, it's not that they just kept a low profile, but something happens to those who talk to him specifically about Jack, or her about Jack. So we're gonna note that something happens to all those. I have no exception. No exceptions known to date. So part the reason they survived might be because they die. All those who come in contact with him about the subject come to an end, leave the realm of the living, call it however you want. So there are more rules to the survival game with Jack, but only one person knows. However, they can't tell anybody because otherwise it's their head. But I don't want to give more details about this here, the twist. So as you can see, it does start with the, oh my god, where did I go? It does start with the prompt, but at the very end, I added something. Actually, it does. It does follow or respect the prompt, actually. Just that ending that I added, but still. Okay, so I'm gonna stop this video here. And as I said last time, the story of Jack at the corner will probably be online. And the link will be in the description again. I do hope that everyone is safe and having a good time, good day, good night, whatever, wherever you are. And I do hope to see all of you in the next video. I'm probably gonna write a third story, maybe the collection. So stay tuned. Bye bye.